By the way, ignore any drilling noises outside because the construction people decided now would be a brilliant time to get to work. But, let's get into the topic of goal setting. So, goal setting is the beginning of the cycle of goals. Like, I know, I know that seems very basic, but a lot of people get the word goal setting mixed up with goal completion. Like when you see all these goal setting videos online, they more so talk about how to complete the goal than to set the goal. We are just going to mainly focus on goal setting. There are a few things touch on goal completion, but our main focus right now is goal setting. Okay, so what is the first step in goal setting? What's the first thing we need to learn to be able to do goal setting? Well, the first thing we are going to do to learn goal setting is goal setting. So what you need to do right now is list 10 goals or things you want to achieve and write them in present tense. So write them in, I have 10k per month. I make 10k per month. I have this book, I have 6-pack abs, blah, blah, blah. Write it in present tense like you already have these things, you already make that money, you already do this, you already are a beast, pretty much. Write these 10 goals down as fast as possible. They will jump into your head. Do that now, grab a piece of paper. Now that you've done that, I want you to circle up to 3 of those goals, 3 maximum. The less goals circled, the better. You see, I did this, and it was suggested in this book, Eat That Frog by Brian Tracy, one of my favourite books. If you haven't read it, you should. I did this, and one of the goals, which I circled, was to make 10k a month. I said that I make 10k a month. That's what I put because you write it in present tense. That's one of the goals I circled because if I make that much money a month, it will positively impact my life. So when you're circling these goals, think about what would positively impact your life right now. Be selfish at the minute. There's a time where you won't be selfish and it will be benefiting other people. But be selfish at the moment. It's okay to be selfish sometimes. But I circled 10k a month. You see, there's a word that when we're goal setting, and you should have your goals circled by now, I've been yapping, but there's a word that when we are goal setting, us normal people don't do what successful people do. We aren't confident in our ability. So by proxy, we set timid goals. We set timid goals. We are cowards, pretty much. We aren't confident in our own ability to overachieve. We instead force ourselves to underachieve. For example, a lot of people will say they want to be fit and healthy and not say, I want to be bulked up, I want 6-pack abs, I want big fat arms. They won't put themselves on a high pedestal of what they want. They'll instead settle for less because they feel it's more achievable. The thing is, we don't know what's achievable. We don't know what it means to achieve these goals. Do you get what I mean? Like, let me go back to my 10k example. You see, I know it doesn't seem like it, but because it's a lot of money, but my 10k a month is timid. That's a timid goal. Because it seems more achievable. To see how you can improve on it, because it's a skill that a lot of us don't know, how to set these bold goals, these non-timid goals, these confident goals. You probably heard this a lot from Grant Cardone. He has a full company called it, but 10x your goals. This doesn't mean literally times your goals by 10 in a lot of cases. This just means make them more extreme. 10x your goal, like for so long. In my last video even, my goal was to make 10k a month. And I was faded in my mind thinking, it wasn't timid. It is timid. How am I to know that it's not timid? That was a timid goal. I quite literally now has times this goal by 10 of making 10k a month, and I'm making 100,000 a month. I could probably put 100k, that will probably look a bit more cute, won't it? Oh, almost dropped my white. 100k a month. That isn't as timid, and the way you'll know, because it's so easy to know, is when you change your goal. Why does the camera just keep going like that? That's very good. It's when you change your goal, make it less timid, you will feel like you have already failed. You will feel that feeling of unmotivation inside of you, like you're unmotivated. You will feel that. I did. I was pacing my room. Now I've got it behind me. 100k a month. And as I was pacing the room, I knew this goal wasn't timid. It seems so unachievable to me that it is actually achievable. It's just my own mental that says it isn't. And our mentals are all broken down at the minute. If you've not achieved your goal, your mental doesn't know what the best achievement of that goal is. I hope that makes sense. I know I'm going all around the houses for this, but like, by 10xing your goal, by making it bigger than you actually think, making it as, okay, what do I actually want, instead of what will I settle for. That's good. I'll say that again. Make your goals what you actually want, as opposed to what you have settled for. So the goals that you circled, write them on a separate piece of paper and make them what you actually want. Don't make it what you're settling for. Now, we have discussed timid goals, but there is also timid that doesn't seem right, the spelling there. Timid deadlines. I'll just draw a line. Timid deadlines. You see, my original goal, let's get rid of this line. My original goal was to make 10k a month from now, and my deadline to do that was 7 years. From now to 7 years, I've given myself a goal to make 10k a month. That was my deadline. And setting deadlines, real quick. If your goal doesn't have a deadline, you're not going to achieve your goal. It's very simple. You need something to work to beat. Like, you set a deadline and you want to beat that deadline. You're not trying to, in some cases you are, but you're not trying to compete against these other people. You want to compete against your deadline. You want to do things before your deadline is done. That's your game. So setting a deadline is important. Thing is, we set timid deadlines as well. We don't just set timid goals, we set timid deadlines. How are we meant to achieve our best goal when we take so long achieving what we're settling for? Like, I settled for 10k a month, and I was going to spend 7 years trying to achieve this goal of 10k a month, which is what I settled for. Isn't that crazy? And now, you've probably done the same. Setting these deadlines. If you have set a deadline. A lot of people don't even set deadlines, but if you set a deadline, you've probably done a timid deadline. You've probably done a timid goal and a timid deadline. You're setting yourself up to be miserable. You see, I first changed my deadline before my goal, but since a lot of you don't have deadlines set, most likely, we are going to explain this in a different way. We've first changed our goal. My goal is now 100k a month. And now my deadline, I made it as unrealistic, in my view, as scary as possible. You see, 7 years from now, I'm currently 16, I would be settling to make 10k a month at 23, which is all right, which is good, actually. Not a lot of people do that, but it's still settling. I've changed my deadline. And what have I changed it to? I have made it a number which seems unachievable on paper. It seems unachievable when you say it. Like, I'll say it to you now and you'll be like, oh, no way are you going to achieve that. You're going to fail. You suck. First off, I'd be very upset with that. I'd probably cry. But it is actually very achievable. We don't know what is achievable or not because we haven't achieved. So I set it to 2.5 years. So my goal is to make 100k a month in 2.5 years. And I'm smiling because even saying it now gives me fear. Because it does seem unobtainable. The thing is, everything's obtainable. But in order to obtain it, there's a few things we have to set in place first. So we've just discussed the core basics of goal setting. Now let's get into the minute details. So, 100k a month, you have your goal, which you have 10x'd. From now to 2.5 years. So I have two and a half years to obtain 100k a month to achieve that. And you have your goal, you have your deadline, and your goal and deadline are no longer timid. They seem unobtainable. So now what can we set in place to begin obtaining and achieving these goals? Let me tell you. So first we give our goals, I'll keep saying goal at the minute. You can do this with all the goals you circled. We give it form. It's crazy how many people, they don't give their goals form. And what do I mean by form? I mean put it physically. Make it so you can physically touch it. Like, let me drag this down. Here, and at the back I have I think he's Nero. I just got a random piece of scrap paper. Here I put my goal on paper. I put it on paper, and this is the goal I plan to achieve and will achieve. By putting it on paper, what you do is you give it form. You give it substance. Put it on paper and put it on your wall, and you'll see how much more you'll be working toward this goal because it's in front of you every day. By giving it form, it's like you're already this person who's achieved it, if that makes sense. That point of being the person who's already achieved it will come later on. But I got cut off because of my calendar, but if we had to summarize what we've learned so far, because it's always good to keep doing these summaries so you stay with it. We have first made our list of 10 goals, which are most likely timid goals. So what have we done with the timid goals? We have 10x them, so they're not timid goals anymore. Then we have set our deadlines, which are most likely timid deadlines. So we have made our deadlines so unobtainable, not to a point of being silly, not like 1 second, 1 minute. No, we've made it realistically unobtainable. So it's still realistic, but it still scares us when we see it. So our deadline's no longer timid. Then we have materialized our goal. We have given it form, and we have put it on paper, and we put it on the wall. How else can we give our goal form? Well, visualization. I was watching a video by Charlie Morgan, I think his name was. He does SMMA, all that sort of stuff. And he was talking about how visualization made him his money. He had these print-offs of images as a visualization board, like a visual mood board of the stuff he wanted, like his home, his car, his house plants. And he has all these things now, and he did that before he was rich and famous. Brian Tracy even discusses that, like, the visualization and the law of attraction works because of our mental image of the completion of the goal. So my goal is to make 100k a month. Why do I want that 100k a month? I want to be able to live remotely. I want to be able to start up other businesses. I want to be able to get things nice for other people and myself. So what I did was I went onto Canva and I just put a load of images in of where I want to live, blah, 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 everything. And I'm going to print those images off and put them on my wall. But also, if you don't want to do all that, just have a mental image of where you're going to be. You can even do this on the short term thing. You can even just think about, to put visualization in a good process and explain it in a good way. Think about when you're going to meet people socially and you're a bit anxious. If you visualize yourself talking to these people and not being anxious and having good conversation, and that image is vivid enough, it will happen. You sort of become this guy. You become the person who you're going to be once the goal's completed, so you can complete the goal. You're setting that up. Goal setting. You're setting it up. So that's another way you can give the goal form. And the last way to give the goal form, and in my opinion the scariest way, before I get to that, sorry to just tease you with that, but let's talk a bit more about the visualization and law of attraction. So here you see a straight line to this goal. It's not like that at all. The thing is, why we need visualization and why that needs to be set up and a vivid image needs to be set up of the completion of this goal is it's not going to look like this from point A to B of making 0k a month to 100k a month in 2.5 years. It won't look like a straight line at all. We will be straight in so many different directions. Let's make a few more directions. It'll look a lot like this, like a jumbled up mess. The thing is, whilst that will be happening physically, like there'll be different things that come up, different deals, different ideas, we still, by using visualization and the law of attraction and knowing our end point, that's a good one, knowing our end goal and having a vivid image of that, the end result, it will look something like this. Probably a bit longer, of course, but it'll look straight, crossroads, straight, crossroads, straight. It will all lead to the same outcome, no matter the choices we take, because we are so focused on that outcome. So it's important to have these mental images and vivid mental images in your mind so you can achieve this goal. So now, let's talk about the last and scariest way of form and goal setting. The last step in setting the goal. Let's recap again. Let's get this in your mind. So if you haven't already, you've listed 10 goals, and these are timid goals. So you have 10 extend, sometimes not literally, sometimes like you've just made them more difficult and seem more unobtainable to you. Then you have set deadlines, and metaphorically 10x them, you've made yourself nervous having to think about it. Like having to think about making 100k a month in only 2.5 years to do so. I'm trying to beat that as well, because you want to beat your deadlines. Try to beat it. I'll put that down too. Try to beat your deadlines, like it's a game. But trying to beat that deadline, it's scary, and it should scare you. It should make you sweat. It made me sweat. It made me quite nervous. It made me breathe a bit heavily. I should probably get that checked out, but we've got that. And then Then we've given it form, we've written it down, wrote it down, we've put it on our wall, wrote down. We've made visualization board, or if you don't feel the need to that, just make a visualization board. But if you are a rebel and you don't want to do that or listen, just visualize your end result vividly. And then we visualized it vividly, and now we are on to this. The last and most scary step of setting our goals, of pouring the concrete into the pavement and setting it. So we'll now drop my white, but the show must go on. Let me get it. Okay. The last and most scary step of setting your goal / goals. You have to tell others. You have to tell others. You have to tell someone this seemingly unobtainable goal, and it will seem unobtainable to them as well, because most likely they are normal people. But you tell them this goal, and most of their responses will be, "You'll never do that. That's a bit extreme. Ha, you're never gonna do that." But by telling others, you've given it more form, you've given it more power. Like, let me draw something quickly. Let me draw something to show you what we've done so far. So this scrawny little man is you. I'll give him a little face. What would you look like? This scrawny little man is you. I'm just looking at the man in the camera. This scrawny little man is you. You have thoughts of a goal. You have thought of a goal. You have many goals in your head. This is so many, but one of these goals is the goal that you really want to achieve. You write this goal into your list. This rope ties around your arm. You write them in the list in present tense. Remember that, by the way. You circle the goal itself. You then give it form you first 10x the goal, which shockingly makes you more attached to the goal because you're more worried. Let's give you a really long arm. And then you set a 10x deadline, or a 10 divided deadline. And then you give it form by having a visual image of it. And you can give that visual image form by making a vision board and putting that on your wall as well, along with actually writing it and putting it on the wall, which I'm not sure if I said already. And then you tell others your goal. And depending on how many people you tell, this could be a lot of things that your goal is tied to. You see, you're tying yourself to this goal now. You're making this goal your identity. This goal is you. You are this man who can achieve this goal, or woman, but you are this person who can achieve this goal. You have made it you. Which is another important thing. To end it off, we've done all of that. And to end this off with an actionable step for you, you've done all the other actionable steps. We split at the beginning goal setting and goal completion. the way to complete this goal, one of the many ways, build your character. I'll make a full video on doing this, but I'll briefly explain it now. Building your character is writing down the characteristics, the habits, the tasks, the way this person walks, the way the character walks of a character who has completed your goal. Everything they do, their habits, their walking pattern, be as specific as possible. Be this, and then you become this person. Sticking true to yourself, but you just try to get closer and closer to be this person. This person to achieve your goal of fitness probably doesn't make the excuses. They probably wake up early so they can work out. Or the person who even has a goal of playing piano, they probably don't waste their time on the trumpet. Silly instrument. Build your character. Actionable step to end this up. List all the characteristics of the character who has achieved your goal or who would achieve your goal. And start implementing those characteristics into your own life. So now, let's summarize goal setting. You've done your list. In present tense, you've circled your list and you have your timid goals. Timid goals / deadlines, 10x / divided. You've made them scare you a bit. You're no longer playing it safe. You're a savage. With that, you've given it form in 3 ways. The form you have given it is you've given it the paper form of writing it down. You have given it the social form of telling someone or multiple people, and you have given it the visual form, visualizing form, but it won't fit the visual form of vividly visualizing the end result of achieving this goal. The why. That's how you've given it your form. That's how you've made it tied to you. And then now you have your character who has achieved all of that. And that, my friends, is this wrapped up. You've set your goal. Now we will talk about how to actually achieve your goal. So see you in the next one.